Hello, everybody. It's Thursday, March 27th, and we've got some Chapo coming at you. On the program today, Felix and I are joined by the Bad Hasbara boys. Matt Lieb, welcome back to the show. Daniel Maté, welcome to the show.
So excited to be here.
Long-time listener, first-time caller-inner. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so glad to be back to talk Sopranos with my boys.
Actually, we're talking, I don't know if you got the number, we're talking Deadwood on today's show. Have you guys done a show about that yet?
Oh, very soon we will start doing Dead Yourself a Wood, but we have to finish Mad Yourself a Man. And then,
when are you guys going to do John from Cincinnati?
Oh, dude, I've wanted to John myself Cincinnati for so long. It's like one of my favorite shows that only lasted one season.
Is it really?
Butchie Instead.
I loved it.
Why?
I don't know, Butchie Instead, as Will said. Just because I thought, like, oh, this is going somewhere. Like, they tricked me. But I don't know, something about, a surfer angel who only talked in quotes that he had heard. It was on. It was something on TV. Do I need to explain my love?
Yeah, but the point of HBO is, like, you watch an FX show because it's on. And then once in a while, it's like a Justified or Shield type thing where it's like, what are the least talented cops in the world going to do this week? Right. It's awesome. But HBO, it's either supposed to be, even when it's bad, it's sort of interesting. Like In Treatment, I thought was an interesting show because of how boring it was.
Yeah.
I was like, no one would ever dare make a show this boring on regular TV.
I think, I could be wrong about this, but was that not originally an Israeli TV show?
It was.
Yeah, so
it was.
So I BDS'd it, even the American version BDS'd it, Argentinian version, all BDS.
The original
Same reason
Israeli
I won't watch
title was
Euphoria.
in Mistreatment.
Yes, exactly. Correct.
Well, on today's show, we'll be talking about a different television program, The News.
Ooh.
And I guess I'd like to start today with probably the biggest news story this week. I don't know, boys. Let me see what you think about this. What do you think is a better moniker for the current text chat imbroglio? Signal scandal or Goldberg Gate?
Those are both very good. I haven't
Gateberg.
Yes, it's Gateberg. I only know a little bit about it. I'm interested. So apparently everyone was in a group chat like, hey, we're going to bomb the Houthis. Is that what happened?
So like Michael Waltz, who just minutes before the show, I saw a post from Dan Cohn from the Gray Zone that Waltz, up until 2 days ago when Dan Cohn posted this, was following an account called Big Dick Bottom, whose bio was simply the word sexual. And like, I don't, if this is like Lindsey Graham or something, it's like, okay, I know what this is. But like, I think this is part of a larger pattern. He's just not good at the phone. I don't know what's going on.
Did you see the reporting from Wired and Daniel Boguslaw, among others, that up until yesterday, Mike Waltz had a public Venmo?
Yeah,
having your Venmo public just as a regular person is insane, but doing it when you're the national security advisor of the United States is amazing.
So they were talking about an ongoing operation, which Walt said the literal words, "We got their top missile guy."
Greg.
Which, Ansar Allah has like been, after 12 straight days of this, is still like lobbing missiles everywhere. So maybe like his understudy is just really good. But they blew up an entire apartment building. So it was like an ongoing operation that he was telling like JD and someone just named Mar about. But
and wasn't JD the only like mildly dissenting voice on the chat?
Did he dissent?
Like, okay, guys, if you want to do this, but I'm not feeling it.
No, he was kind of doing that thing like when you're in a group chat and someone says something problematic and you're like, if this leaks, I need to look good. and you're like, I disagree with you, even though you're my friend and you're not my friend after this. You're like, okay, screenshots about this are going to come out. I've got to look good. But he was sort of doing that, but also when Waltz was like, hey, we just blew up an entire apartment building and killed 100 people, and we got their top missile guy, JD, like sent a bunch of emojis. It was like awesome. So, I mean, I don't know how fully against it he was. I really, the thing from Hegseth, who, could he pick a worse day to stop drinking, but every day?
Well, thank God he hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. But he said, well, this just shows how little you know, because we were discussing like different types of plans we have when we accidentally added Jeffrey Goldberg, which like that alone would be hilarious. But no, it was an ongoing operation that they were briefing fucking JD Vance about over iMessage with God knows like who. I might be in there. I mute every group chat I get added to because there's just too many notifications. I should check my phone. Like
JD is
I might be in there.
Add Chapo Felix. That'll be fun. He's always got good memes.
Yeah.
I love that. Like our entire national security state at this point is just doing everything Israel does. Like that's all the Israelis do is go onto like Telegram groups and just in Hebrew go like, here's some crimes we're gonna do. And now they're just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. The way they all talk about the crimes out loud.
I like to imagine, like, because like every group chat has one person that's constantly just derailing the chat with their
100%.
life. So like,
100%.
I like to imagine like JD's in there and he's just like, I hate bailing out Europe, and then you just see like 4 people, like the 3 dots come up and then just disappear.
Yeah, they just never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah,
wait an hour and then post this Garfield meme, and then we'll just get back on track here.
JD is absolutely the guy who like every day is like, yeah, sorry to take up all the space of the group chat after doing it for like the 80th day in a row.
So like, there's a couple aspects to this are interesting, and the first one I want to talk about is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, because like. I think for a while now, like it's just he's been making a strong case for himself. But I saw a photo of him today wearing a tank top featuring a cartoon Teddy Roosevelt with the caption "Teddy Boozevelt."
Oh,
and
Jesus
he was like,
Christ.
"The sun's out, guns out, Teddy Boozevelt," which
Jesus.
I
he's
guess
like a
works.
dude. He's a dude wine mom. That fucking sucks.
That's such a bad, like that sucks so much dick. That is not a good pun.
Yeah. And his tattoos suck too.
The
his tattoo
tattoos
game is
Felix, you pointed out
atrocious.
that he's got like one Japanese tattoo. Okay, like
It's a Tory-gate.
he has. Yeah, he's got a tattoo that says Deus Vult, which means God wills it. And then he got right underneath it in Arabic, he has a tattoo that says unbeliever. And then right next to both of those, like a red tattoo of a Japanese, what is it? A
Tory-gate, which is like, that's not even just, it's like specifically a Shinto thing where like all the kami are supposed to hang out. And it's like, Christians are the only fucking people that do this, where they're not, it's not just that they're Christian, but they're like Christ is king. I have a tattoo that says fuck Islam. And also, I'm a Buddhist.
Yeah.
It's also, no. There's nothing in the Bible that says, like, this is practical monotheism. You have to believe in just God, like nothing else. But you can like worship tornadoes. No, It's either tornadoes or Jesus Christ. You have
I
to
just
pick
can't get
one.
over the elaborateness of getting a tattoo that says unbeliever in Arabic. I mean, it'd be like, Jesus is shit in Aramaic or something, or like,
Right.
pork in Hebrew. Like you go to the trouble of getting a fucking tattoo in some language that's heretical in that language.
You got to be so fucking stupid to be like they will have a tattoo that just says like "fuck God," but it's in Arabic, and just because of that, they're like, "Oh, that's fine. You can have that." It's not talking about the Christian God. That's a different guy.
Well,
That's how that
I mean,
works.
it's the logical endpoint of like living your life according solely to negative polarization.
Yes.
Like
Yes. It's like getting a "How am I driving? Call 1-800. Go fuck yourself." Like tattoo. You know what I mean?
At that point, you might as well like just like get the Arabic script for pedophile. They hate these guys. I'm whatever you hate.
I like to say like he's been climbing the ranks steadily, but over this past week, I would say that Pete Hegseth is now number 1 with a bullet in terms of my favorite Trump administration officials. It's like this absolutely submental alky who, like, as far as I can tell, like, he's just like worked out with Navy SEALs today, and he's just like doing push-ups and burpees and stuff like that. But like, does anyone remember during his confirmation hearings where he literally said, if I get the gig, I'll quit drinking? What happened with that? Because,
I think he kicked
like,
the
did you see
can
him
down the
talking
road
to
a bit.
Fox
He's
News about this?
Yeah.
He is Jim Leahy drunk, like, all the time.
Mr. Lee, is this you talking or the liquor? Randy. I am the liquor.
Anytime he's on camera, he has had about 8 gin and tonics to stop his hands from shaking. Like, I love him. And it also confirms, like, probably, this is weirdly my most right-wing belief, but every tattoo you have past 1 is like exponentially heightens how mentally ill you are.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I'm excluding all hot women from this.
Hot women
Goes
and
without
members of the
saying.
Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Do you think he has a tramp stamp?
Oh my god! Yeah, no. My after I showed my,
I think he has a Trump stump.
Yeah.
after I showed my family the Torrygate thing, my brother says that he has a tramp stamp that just says "wet." You know, like I totally agree with you. Like, he is. I love him not just because, like, he's America's answer to Leahy, as you said, and like the constant pratfalls, but also, like, him and Waltz have that Trump 1 flavor where they're constantly like backtracking and being like, well, no, I didn't actually like mean that. I didn't mean that I didn't text that stuff, but like that I didn't mean to is what I meant. Where it's constant like red-faced clarifications and like embarrassing press conferences. It's not like, the definitive flavor of Trump 2, which is just like, yeah, fuck you. We're killing every grandma. Fuck, like, it's gay to have air traffic control. Blow me. I think it's a result of them being like military guys, because they still have that muscle memory of institutions where even though Michael Waltz he's like O.J. Simpson's character in Naked Gun, but with a phone. And Pete Hegseth is a fall down drunk and idiot. They were officers, so they at least remember a time in their life where it's like, okay, if you text somebody like classified information, you have to at least like answer questions about it. You have to make it look like you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this gets to like the second interesting aspect of this, which is like, what are we to make of Jeffrey Goldberg's involvement with all this? Because like, I'm of two minds about this, because like, on the one hand, I completely buy that they are incompetent enough to just like add a journalist to the group chat. But then on the other hand, the fact that it was Jeffrey Goldberg makes me raise my eyebrow just a little bit, because like the fact that there were, like sharing classified information or whatever. I mean, I don't care about that, but it's just like Jeffrey Goldberg is like the handpicked mouthpiece for like neoconservatism. And like, do you think there's a possibility that
and never Trumpism?
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that like the neocon wing of Trump's own administration was just like wanted to get some positive press, or like they knew that they can rely on Jeffrey to be a reliable mouthpiece for them? Because like the import of this story really in my view is not that they're like incompetently sharing classified information on Signal in a fucking group chat and doing like emojis with each other. It's that like the import of getting that story out there is like, look at these cool guys doing a war for us.
Yeah,
but like, wouldn't they just do that then? Wouldn't they, like, this White House would just like post a screen grab of like that group chat and be like, this is what happened after we like killed the missile guy. There's no, like, maybe during Trump 1, I could more see that. But it's also like, if you were doing something like that, you would, even this administration would like have a staffer do it, like a Dan from Veep that you can throw under the bus. You wouldn't use like a cabinet level position for that in case this goes wrong. Like, even for how stupid these guys are, I don't know. It's just too many moving parts in that plan, I guess. So and like, I agree with you. Like, Jeffrey Goldberg is like a completely untrustworthy, like repulsive figure. And like, you should take anything he says with a grain of salt. But I do think in this instance, I mean, someone pointed out that Waltz probably has a billion Jeff IDFs in their phone. So, I forget who said that, but
and one of them, unfortunately, is no longer answering texts. One of the Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard. I think it was Hegseth's press conference. I think it was him, but he said exactly what you just said, Felix, about Jeffrey Goldberg, like this so-called journalist, this fabulator, this proven liar. And I was thinking, yeah, where's the lie? It's true, but it's just interesting that they leaked it, as you said, Will, to this sworn
Daniel,
enemy of
like,
the administration.
He was like, yeah, Jeffrey Goldberg is like, a long known as a peddler of hoaxes and fakes. And like, then he talks about, all the Trump stuff, like Russiagate and like all that stuff. But like, he never mentions the Iraq war, the war he fought in. Like, you think he would have a personal stake in Jeffrey Goldberg's, role in lying us into that conflict?
While I appreciate his role in sending me and my fallen brothers into a fruitless war that my current president was elected, trumpeting his opposition to, his Russiagating will not stand.
Yeah,
I took some selections from the Houthi chat. JD Vance says, I will say a prayer for victory. 2 prayer emojis under it. Michael Waltz says, VP, building collapse, had multiple positive ID. Pete Corella, the IC, amazing job. JD Vance says, what? Michael Waltz says, typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy. We had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and now it's collapsed. JD Vance, excellent. John Ratcliffe, a good start.
Yeah, it's great.
It's just like, I really wonder what, like, if Signal or group chat had existed during Operation Barbarossa, like what the Nazi high command would be texting each other, saying a prayer. Sorry, I was on too much amphetamines, typing too fast.
Typing too fast.
You know who would be the annoying guy in the like Nazi high command group chat? Absolutely Goebbels. He would be the guy constantly derailing it with
he would just keep posting his own fucking tweets and going, can you guys retweet this? I think it's pretty good.
Definitely one of those guys.
Yeah.
But he would also be like, I'm really happy with my mistress. Like constantly like bombarding the chat of them going to lunch together.
What are we doing this weekend?
What's the move?
Goering would start one of those breakaway group chats that you start to get away from someone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the group chat, but it just says no Goebbels in there.
Yeah.
It's like, thank fucking God.
Well, I mean, and this gets to like, I think like probably the most relevant aspect of this whole controversy, which is that like, Jeffrey Goldberg's article about this, like his attitude towards being added to this group chat in which members of the Trump administration were discussing their plans to bomb a country that Congress has not officially declared war on. And, regardless of whether they're sharing classified information or whatever, Jeffrey Goldberg's attitude towards all of this was like, how dare they let me, a journalist, know about life and death decisions being made in the White House?
Yeah. He's just like, this is not what this democracy is about. It's about cloak and dagger, and it's about really secret group chats. Who knows what they'll add me to next? This is some bullshit.
And then, like, the reaction of Democrats in Congress is like they need to be impeached over their breach of OPSEC, not their bombing of Yemen.
Yeah, that's what they care about. I mean, who was the Jeffrey Goldberg they were trying to talk to? Do we know who that is?
I mean, there's probably like 1,000 guys who are.
Was it Jonah Goldberg? Were they trying to get Jonah Goldberg?
No one is ever.
Nobody's adding him to any chat.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I don't think. Yeah,
he's in his mom's group chat, and that's it.
Even during like the Ajit Pai FCC regime, telemarketers did not call him. He is like the least contacted man in history.
For me, the ultimate outcome of this, the best case scenario, is that somehow Jeffrey Goldberg, through really no fault of his own, ends up becoming the next Edward Snowden and is like sent to Moscow.
That would rule.
He's stranded in Moscow, whining for the rest of his days. I didn't mean to blow any whistles. Please send me back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was asked by an NPR reporter today about the bombing of Yemen, and they were like, "Well, in this group chat, they discuss destroying a residential building to kill one guy, and like 53 people had been killed leveling this apartment complex. And he was like, unfortunately, those numbers are not confirmed as they only come from the Houthi Ministry of Health. And he's just like, just slot it in there, just keep it rolling. And then he was like, yeah, if this does make Yemen a bigger story, I think that's important because terrorists control half of that country. And it's just like, the fact, like I said this when I learned this story, the fact that Jeffrey Goldberg didn't just stay lurking in that chat, it tells you everything you need to know about how much he approves of everything they're doing, just save for their like oafish incompetence.
And
letting him, a journalist, know about their plans to, declare war on a country.
Right. He's just reading fucking top secret information going, TMI guys, too much information. Just like send me to Guantanamo. If the Trump administration through all this ends up sending neocons to Guantanamo, I feel like I'm going to have a real hard time protesting that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes
I'm against it, but
like sometimes you get the right result for the wrong reason.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And if Jeffrey Goldberg is put in a dog crate for the rest of his life, will I enjoy the implications of what it pretends for the rest of us in this country?
Certainly
no.
No.
But like I think I could manage to be in a dog crate for the rest of my life if I knew Jeffrey was also in one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
as long as it wasn't the dog crate right next to you.
That's true. Yeah, that would be unbearable. Yeah. But as long as we're talking about what the future pretends for the rest of us, I think we should transition now to talking about like the continued renditions and deportations of student visa holders and legal foreign residents that are going on right now.
Not just stuff.
Not just for student activists who have criticized Zionist atrocities or signed an open letter or written a college newspaper opinion article, but like also just like random Latino people who have like a tattoo. Like, did you see the one about the guy with the autism awareness tattoo who was sent to the El Salvadoran torture gulag?
Jesus Christ!
This is the kind
of. He was a little too aware of autism. Will he was a little too aware?
Yeah, that was an Elon thing.
I know you guys are the Bad Hasbara podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and like this is very much in your guys' wheelhouse. But I know you must have seen this incredible lawsuit that has been filed in a New York court from. Like basically Columbia pro-Israel groups that are seeking like, punitive damages for the trauma they experienced and like, having to be reminded of what Israel is like on campus.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
the nut graph of the lawsuit is the allegation that Hamas planned or gave foreknowledge of the October 7th account to student pro-Palestinian groups in Colombia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the lawsuit, it says the account was dormant for months and then mysteriously became active in September, which is
3 minutes before the attack.
Yeah.
It's almost like they were on some type of break during the summer months. The student activist group. I mean, like Sinwar he didn't tell Iran, he didn't tell Hezbollah, but he told not even SJP like the Columbia chapter.
Right. Yeah. He's like,
I mean, I've seen like this used to be the province of, exclusively Ross Glick types, like the more insane wing of Zionism that was definitely outside of the more normal categories. They were in relation to AIPAC. They were like Gun Owners of America versus the NRA, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, like everyone is so fucking insane that. Formerly, people that I would begrudgingly call real people are posting this fucking nonsense, this insanity. Yeah. It's like a fully mainstream Zionist position that SJP had forewarning of October 7th.
Right. Yeah.
Matt, I'm sure you'll agree with me. The only people who are supposed to have forewarning of October 7th are the head of the Shin Bet, Netanyahu.
Yeah. They're in good company.
Netanyahu's lawyer, his wife,
Egypt,
his kids,
for some reason, who told them, I think they're going to do an attack. Yeah, it is. It's so funny. It's all kind of based on like when they tweeted. It's been like the Zionist MO for 17 months now to like check people's tweets on October 7th to see if it implicates them somehow as being pro Hamas. And it's just really, I mean, October 7th is my daughter's birthday. So, so I.
Well, what did she know, and when did she know it, Matt?
Yeah. So, people they're constantly like, he was having a party on October 7th. And I'm like, yes, and I will celebrate it every year. That's just how it's got to be. I'm
With
sorry.
balloons.
Sorry, guys. Yeah,
Well,
I have balloons and a bounce
And
house.
clowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
They looked at my Amazon account and they saw that I ordered a big green foam finger on
Hamas
October
number
5th
one.
for 2-day shipping. This is going to be a great season.
But like, Matt, Daniel, like, you guys cover this stuff. Like, how does one account for like the psychology of this? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's always tough to like psychoanalyze your political enemies, or it's not necessarily fruitful. But like, what do you make of this? Do they actually believe it, or did they just see this as a useful cudgel to like greatly diminish the freedom of speech of their peers on campus, or just for Americans in general to weigh in on this issue?
I mean, I think this in particular, with regard to Colombia specifically, is about finding a pretext to deport Mahmoud Khalil. Like, this is, they're going to, they're filing this lawsuit, and then they're going to try to tie him into this somehow. And because at this point, they've used his deportation as kind of like, this is their symbolic, like, once we can get him deported, then we're going to set a precedent for deporting all sorts of people who are permanent residents or, on work visas or whatever. So that's what this is, I think, ultimately for, is to do that. But I love the pretext or like the pretense of, this is so that we can keep Jewish students safe. This is my absolute favorite lie that they say, because it's I mean, obviously, if you've ever been to any of these things, it's like, it's all Jews. It's like, there's all sorts of people, but there are so many Jewish Voice for Peace activists. There's so many, if not now guys, so many Jewish anti-Zionists, or even like just kind of like waffling, Jewish anti-occupation people. But it's, the idea that this is about protecting Jews is, something that they just kind of make up in order to sound like they're good people. You know what I mean?
I think they've also had lodged in their craw for some time the allegation, which I'm not weighing in on one way or the other, that Israelis were dancing in New Jersey watching the Twin Towers come down, and no Jews went to work that day and all that. And they've been really looking forward to an opportunity where they can like find people who knew about some imminent attack before it. But like, it's so overshooting the runway. Like, okay, plausibly these people are affiliated with Hamas. They're paid by Hamas. Fine. I can imagine a world in which some student group is paid by some foreign entity. It's bullshit, but I can sort of plause it.
Suspend.
But this student group is being fed information by the top secret Palestinian resistance on an operation that even factions within the Hamas government didn't know about. This thing that was being plotted in the most heavily surveilled area on earth, that unless they have secret contacts in the Israeli government, I don't see how it's just so
I think
outlandish.
that's even more likely, is the fucked up thing.
Yeah.
It's more likely that
Shai Davidai knew about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Colombia infiltrators.
They have Mossad, infiltrators at SJP who were being fed information by the fucking, Israeli security state. That's actually more likely. And it's funny, like the idea, like sort of one of the big claims is like, right after, on October 8th, they printed out a press toolkit, right after the Hamas attack, which is like, what are you arguing here? How did they write it so fast? Is that like, what does that prove? It's like, it's pretty suspicious that you guys have heard of Palestine before.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, fucking the idea that everything that happened on October 8th on the part of Palestine Solidarity people was just pure celebration, glee, and exultation over what had happened. Fucking, you know where I was on October 8th? I was at a JVP rally at Grand Army Plaza. which was a very somber affair. We were not celebrating shit. We were bracing for what was coming. And I think at that point, by the time the rally started, had already started, and everyone fucking knew what was coming, which was absolute hellfire being rained down on Gaza. Little did we know how long it would last, but we knew it was awful. And so the mobilization in favor of the rights of Palestinians to resist in the 24 hours afterwards, it's just a non-story. It's obvious if you're not a fucking racist, and if you think Palestinians are human beings and that people in this country have the right to stand up for them, that in the face of the onslaught of Hasbara that happened right after October 7th and the lies that were already being peddled, that there'd be a strong counter-mobilization.
I am confused kind of about I don't like what conservatism is about now. Mm-hmm. Because like there was this brief entertainment of this idea of national conservatism, both prior to the Biden switch out and a little bit after, a little bit in the summer, because it was a JD Vance branded thing. This idea that there was a vaguely pro-labor idea or coalition within the Republican Party that obviously anyone who knew anything knew that was bullshit. Yeah. But, JD Vance did try to offer some fig leaves towards that idea, saying that he liked Lena Khan. Mm-hmm. And no one really expected any follow through on most of that. But now, if you had to put the policies of the Trump administration in a sentence, it would be, and conservatism in America, it would be no one has a right to safe commercial air travel. Yeah. But and the entire all of the resources of the federal government, all that's left, should be dedicated entirely towards Jewish Ivy Leaguers. to making sure that they're safe, I guess, or not inconvenienced. Mm-hmm. That these are it's we have given them a racial category that is above white, a new racial category. And I mean, I see all types of based guys defend this because, again, negative polarization. Right. They just people they hate don't like it, so it must be good. But you cannot. No one can talk about it for more than 2 minutes before realizing how not just morally indefensible it is, which it obviously is, but just what the fuck is this? How you couldn't bring this before any group of voters on its face and go, hey, what do you think about this?
Well, this is what I'm getting to with this, because I think everybody understands that if Mahmoud Khalil or any of these other student visa holders who were Fulbright scholars had attended a protest of the policies of purely and only the United States government, if they had written an op-ed or signed a petition or put up a flyer on campus condemning the Trump administration and condemning the war crimes or atrocities of just purely the U.S. government, I think everybody understands that nobody would pay attention to them, or even the Trump administration would not be trying to deport people for protesting just American policy. And this gets into this thing that I see all the time among sort of Zionist apologetics, is that they're so worked up over this because they're very reliant on the idea. They lean very heavily on the idea that pro-Palestinian attitudes or beliefs or anti-Zionist beliefs are a foreign contagion that's infected the American culture through student visa holders. And I think that this is all a way of dealing with the fact that they can't admit that these are broadly held normal beliefs among a large percentage of the United States population, certainly among young people. And
they are naturally emergent moral conclusions of any rational human being.
And that's why. And I bring this up because I saw this thread the other day on Twitter for that that Magdi J person, long time lib lunatic, just basically saying we should never talk about Gaza or Palestine ever again. We should never talk about Israel or Palestine. It's too divisive. It hurt us too much. And my comment on this was that this is as close as these people are ever going to get to admitting that Gaza cost them the election, because they know in their hearts it's true. That's why they're saying just nobody talk about it anymore.
Which is because it's too divisive. That's such a crazy conclusion.
And but my overall point though is that contra the people who argue with me to say that Gaza had nothing to do with the election and has no bearing in public opinion whatsoever, if that were the case, then why are they going all out to deport anyone who holds that view?
Yeah. Yes.
And the thing is, they're losing public opinion. They're losing elite opinion in this country, certainly among the young people, people who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And this gets to an idea, Felix, that you mentioned the other day, that like, I think the plan is that like they just want to turn America into Israel.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that is entirely it. And like, if you were trying to do that, you would make it so that like, any exceptional person from any other country in the world, anyone who's amazing at physics, who has a talent for literature, the next great fucking researcher in whatever, that they look at their options and they go, I don't know about that. I mean, like, I could get fucking rounded up, deported, have my face posted by the White House because I was on the wrong part of campus at the wrong time. Even if, we talked about it with Grant last week, how in a lot of these instances, it's not even people who were like fucking active in protests. They were literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you were trying to make us more like Israel, you would make us like incredibly isolated, give us sort of like a reverse brain drain where people no longer want to come here for whatever advantages there might be in research or whatever. And also just make it so the same thing that happened to the left in Israel happens here, where people are just too petrified to even indicate their beliefs, much less speak out or try to affect any type of change.
Well, this begs a question for me. If we are becoming Israel over here, and I should just state up front, I don't know what your analytics say, Chris. I don't know how many listeners you have who are ICE employees who are part of the Chapo premium program, but I am myself a non-American resident of this country here on some kind of visa, and that's all I'll say about it. But my question is, if we are becoming Israel, then what country is going to send us their shitty, failed celebrities and pedophiles? Who are we going to? Which countries' rejects are we going to be saddled with?
Well, England has been doing that to us for years already.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, I think they can just continue going with the Russell Brand exchange program.
I love it. Can I just say I love Russell Brand's second act because it's like the most cynical thing ever, and you would think that wouldn't matter now in this incredibly cynical age. But even people from Idaho, like 63-year-old women who have like Crisis King in their bio are like, didn't you rape somebody?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him because, no matter how far to the right he pivots, he still sounds too British to be accepted by like MAGA dullards. So they're just gonna, be like, I don't trust this guy. He sounds too British for me.
I don't even think it's that. It's that he's like they like Nigel Farage. It's that he's yeah,
Okay.
like more than Russell Brand.
Sure.
I mean, he just he hasn't worn an outfit that doesn't incorporate beads since he was like prepubescent.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm going with this is like taken in conjunction with like the deportations and these utterly spurious lawsuits alleging that like student activist groups helped plan October 7th. The thing is like, and the idea that this is all going on at the same time that these same people loudly proclaim that Palestine is a marginal issue that nobody cares about in this country. Would a political movement and ideology that is confident about its purchase on the future in America be trying this hard to eradicate political speech that they disagree with? And the corollary to that is, how soon is it going to be before they start turning this shit against actual like U.S. citizens, like people with passports, people born in this country? Because I think it's going to start soon, and it's probably going to start with Muslim Americans, and then from there it's going to go to Jewish Americans, and then from there we're off to the races. But the point is, like, I think that like the flailing and the sort of cruelty of the Zionist project in this country, and how quickly like both parties and like our entire government is like getting on board with just trashing all of our civil liberties and constitutional freedoms in service of protecting the reputation of this fucking pariah state that nobody wants anything to do with. I saw something Ali Abunimah posted the other day about how difficult it is getting for Israel to get anyone born in the West to make Aliyah to Israel. Like
Right,
anyone
yeah.
educated, like, because like the only people who move to Israel are from like former Soviet states, and they don't want
Mhm.
them. But like
Yeah.
they're experiencing a huge brain drain, and they're not meeting their quotas because of how rotten and evil their fucking country is. That the
Right.
fact
Yeah.
that nobody wants to live there.
And it also just sucks to live there.
Yes,
Like that
exactly.
is like, Ethan Klein, before he became what he is now, when he had to live in Israel to like marry the first girl who ever touched him,
Yeah.
he would constantly complain about how much it sucked and how excited he was to leave. But I like going to the point about like how we're trashing every pretense of civil liberties. We are obliterating like any advantage we'll have in like research. We are at a time when we need more fucking doctors and nurses than ever. We are just booting them out because they posted ceasefire now on their fucking Instagram story.
Mhm.
If you've paid attention to the behavior of the blob in the last 30 or 40 years, you have seen America tell so many people who went through so much, well, sorry, fuck off. I guess Erdogan gets to kill you now. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like the Kurds, Ukraine, like we put so many people through so much. People that we rallied behind, said you have to be behind them. We just, toss them out whenever it was more convenient to do that for, Turkey's sake or whatever. And then there is this shitty little fucking pygmy thing with like 9 million people, a state of Jewish people that does not produce any good Legal Minds TV shows or any culture of any type.
Mhm.
And we're saying, we fucking love you. We're going to kill ourselves with you.
It's so crazy to have one ally. Like at this point, it's just like the only ally we have is Israel at this point. And it's like we've isolated fucking everything else. And like I think the thing is, you were talking about how people don't, they go to Israel and they're like, wow, this sucks. And then they can't wait to get out of here. That's the same thing with Israelis. Israelis do not like Israel. It's the funniest thing to watch how many like Israelis leave. And so I went on Birthright, and like the number one like thing that I talked to with like the Israeli soldiers who are like our like tour guides and shit was they just kept asking like, so what's Los Angeles like? It seems like it's a lot of fun out there. and I was like, yeah, it's all right, we got stuff. And they're like, yeah, I just kind of want to go, like see the world. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are fucking trapped here. This sucks. This sucks for you guys. And you can tell that they're trying to project like, nah, this is a great society where we all love each other, by like how often the official Israeli like Israel Twitter account will post like, we did it again. We are the 8th happiest country in the world, according to the World Happiness Report. And these guys are constantly like going, World of Statistics says we have all of the women love it here. It is North Korean propaganda that or at least what we call North Korean propaganda, is actually just Israeli propaganda. It's the same concept.
When you talk about Israelis being trapped there, it reminds me of that moment in My Dinner with Andre when Andre is describing to Wallace Shawn. I think he's quoting a friend who proposes that actually what New York City is, or what Manhattan is.
Oh yeah,
a
it's a
giant
concentration camp
that we've built for ourselves, and we patrol, ourselves, and don't let us. I mean, it's even more right on the nose when you think of, a state built by and for, Auschwitz survivors, although it's much more than that.
Yes.
Which now is enforcing from the outside the largest concentration camp ever to exist. And I'm quoting Baruch Kimmerling when I say that, the Israeli sociologist, describing Gaza. But the country itself is also in some ways a country of hostages to its own genocidal ideology.
I mean, I think of that whenever I see images of what like the West Bank settlements look like, and like the people they move in there, these like giant concrete boxes covered with fences, and it's just like it's like living in prison.
Yes.
It's like you're
And
killing other. You're killing and displacing other people so that you can have the privilege to live in a jail.
Except you get day trip passes to go and like put dead carcasses of goats in other people's wells.
Right,
you
and
have
you
to
get
come
a
back to your-
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it is so funny, like looking at what settlements look like, and it's like, damn, you went all the way to the Middle East and you created the suburbs of Sacramento. Like this shit is like these houses. I just can't imagine moving someplace and being like, I'm just going to recreate what it looks like to live in Roseville. Like there's no. Like the sense of community, all of that stuff is just it's fabricated, and I swear it's like everyone is collectively in a giant, like it's like they're creating their own PR campaign. They are going to be stand-ins for brochures, and they're willing to sacrifice their safety for this project of pretending that we're all safe. I mean, just the entire concept of Israel is a place where Jews can be safe should have been completely shattered as like a Hasbara line after October 7th. And yet,
or the many decades before that,
or the many decades before
that argument. Yeah,
yes, I mean the Intifada and the Second Intifada, like just the idea is just so patently ridiculous now that the fact that they're still holding on to it and using the same Hasbara talking points is, it's very funny.
Which is readily apparent whenever they try to clap back at like comfortable Brooklyn Starbucks Jews like us. You have it so. They talk about our diaspora privilege. Well,
yes,
okay,
yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty. It's not bad, honestly. It's pretty good.
Come on over.
Move here.
I mean, like if that's the case,
Actually,
there's no reason for Israel to exist.
Right.
Like what is it? Is America infested by fucking Islamists that are turning college campuses into fucking Kristallnacht every day? And the library is the greatest loss of life we've seen since October 7th. It's equivalent to 20 9/11s or 2.3 October 7ths. Or is every fucking Jew in the West completely comfortable and they'll never know how hard it is for you? I would love to see what it would look like if say they would fucking succeed in the West Bank, like God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
What would it look like if all those settlers just there was no enemy except for each other?
Yeah.
It would be, there is no country more primed for civil war.
Yes.
It's always a good
100%.
sign when your prime minister goes on television and says, there will not be a civil war. Let's get that straight.
Yeah.
I just want to make one thing clear. This country, there's not going to be a civil war in this country. We're not on the verge of a civil war. And it's just like, really?
Isn't that a line from that recent movie, Civil War? I think I remember
I think that was the Lincoln
literally
Douglas
saying that.
debate.
I mean, they did. People compared the rape riots to when they were storming like military bases with fully automatic rifles and shit over the right to rape detainees. People are comparing that to January 6th. I would say it's like way worse than January 6th.
Yeah, I would say it's a touch worse than January 6th.
Like significantly worse.
Yeah. Let me redirect the conversation slightly.
Sure.
Because he was mentioned a while ago, and I feel like I've got a good brain trust here to answer this question for me. Matt, I know he's got smoke with you. Felix, I know you're aware of him, but I just got to ask, who the fuck is Ethan Klein?
Ethan Klein is
a famous.
He's a famous YouTuber. He actually, do you know the Bolt guy?
For what? What did he do on YouTube?
Well, okay.
Vaped.
So he's kind of the reason. He's kind of the reason that like fair use as a concept exists on YouTube, because him and his wife like made these videos making fun of this guy, the Bolt guy, who Michael Hudson originally showed me, who made these hilarious like skits that were like a mix of parkour and pickup artistry.
I remember the Bolt guy.
Yeah,
the Bolt guy's awesome. I love the Bolt guy.
And history has vindicated him.
Yeah.
Also, like, it works to like go up to a girl and be like, "Think you could catch me?" Like I've put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers doing that. And second, he's a way better person than Ethan Klein, it turns out. But they have a really popular YouTube channel, and they would do like like skits and like news commentary. It was a little more elevated than what you saw on YouTube at the time, which was mostly like, using a Ouija board to contact my dead girlfriend, kidnapping my friend prank. And he was sort of like a vaguely left liberal guy if they talked about politics at all. He had sort of a reckoning with his quote unquote like edgelord past. Though I do think people did show me a bunch of videos of him like saying the N-word also.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't,
He did
maybe it was, but
he did like 30 minutes just on me on his show like a couple weeks ago to, just trying to get me fired from a job, trying to call me a token Jew. And I was like, damn, he did 30 minutes on that. And then someone sent me his N-word compilation, and it was longer than that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't think
there's a video, like, I am like usually against, like just taking like a clip and being like,
oh, sure.
For the most part. But there was one clip I saw where he's watching a video about like a girl who got her leg blown off.
Oh, the Boston bombing thing. Yeah.
And he's like, her pussy's got to be bigger for an N-word like me. And it's like, what the fuck is it? What were you doing? It is. I don't know. He had an interesting theory of how to make content.
Yeah.
Like he had a reckoning where he was like, I'm sorry for my edgelord past. He had a podcast with Hassan.
Yeah.
And then there was a falling out because Ethan was like, he was one of these like, I hate Netanyahu and I hate the occupation.
Right.
But we have to not demonize people, guys. And now he's like Ross Glick now. He's just like the pretense has gone away.
It's crazy. Go ahead.
But he is like an incredibly, before this, he was like an incredibly foundational and like very popular YouTube figure. And one of the most well remunerated. His wife, who is the one who's like, she's always like frowning and dressed like Pootie Tang on their show. They made this clothing brand called Teddy Fresh, and their logo is like, like a teddy bear that's cool. And they made like tens of millions of dollars through all this, which makes all of this so funny. He's been having like a year-long panic attack over like Hassan and now Matt, and he's posting to his stories on Adderall like 40 times a day. I got posted on there once. I wanted to tell him that I've like lost a lot of weight since then, and I was abnormally fat that year, and I want to do reshoots of that.
Dude, yeah, he fucking. On the stream where he like did 30 minutes just on me, they put me on the thumbnail, and it was like a headshot picture. And they like maybe an hour before the stream started, they changed the picture to something less hot. And I realized that like, oh, this is like they're so petty that they didn't want me to look too hot in the thumbnail. And every time, like, this guy is like obsessed with Hassan in a way that
like I said, like all I see from him is him whining about Hassan or his live-in nanny.
One of my favorite like psychotic, just like your kids haven't had dinner story posts I saw from him. Mm-hmm. It was like a screen cap from a video of Hassan where he's like in a bathtub. Mm-hmm. And it's like, he's like, oh, you know what? His glasses are fake. They don't even have prescriptions in them. he's like Mr. Skin for Hassan.
Yeah.
There's so many like near nude videos of Hassan that I would have never seen before if not for Ethan. And he's like, look how stupid his cock looks in this.
Yeah, he wanted to be Mr. Hands for Hassan, but he ended up being Mr. Skin. So, I only kind of became aware of him after October 7th when he, I had like kind of seen the face before, but I didn't really know who he was, and I knew he had this.
We've met before, haven't we?
As a matter of fact, I'm there right now.
Yeah, well, the weird thing about him and I is that we both went to UC Santa Cruz at the same time. We're both the same age, and like we're kind of just like I'm just a a version of him if he had not married an Israeli, I think. Like, if I think we were on a birthright at the same time. So yeah, like, he's just this guy who, after October 7th, after he started like beefing with Hassan, the only reason I started covering him was because he kind of dedicated his show to doing Israeli propaganda. And one of the big things that he did was he got Twitch to change the terms of service so that Zionism, or saying Zionist, is a slur. And, you know, for me, this is something we cover a lot on Bad Hasbara, is, you know, people using the like institutional muscle of the ADL in order to, you know, stop people from being able to express their free speech about Zionism, which is not a slur. It is a concept, that is a belief structure that people do believe in and has political and real life consequences.
And they proudly claim.
Yes, and people, proudly are proud Zionists. So it's fucking ridiculous. And so I started interviewing people who he had actively been targeting, and that, I think, is what pissed him off. I interviewed Frogan, who's a streamer who he had banned from Twitch. This guy Anthony, who was does a podcast called Do Not Worry, which is he's essentially a former Ethan fan who's watched it's a podcast from Lebanon where he, you know, talks about you know, Zionism, and talks about what's going on, you know, with Israel's bombardment of Lebanon. And I had Hassan on, I had this guy Bad Empanada on, and I think that just drove him over the edge, because Bad Empanada is just like kind of an internet troll who doesn't give a fuck. And like, he just, that
guy goes hard.
He goes real hard. He really, truly doesn't give a shit. And, you know, and we had a great conversation with him, and not about Ethan. We talked about Zionism and stuff, and that really pissed him off, because I think with Ethan, the big thing is that liberal Zionists are fundamentally insecure, and their entire, you know, belief structure, everything that they believe in is centered around the fact that they are moral people. And so anyone claiming that any of their preconceived notions about Israel might be in fact wrong, like, completely shatters their self-image. And so, you know, rather than having to like rebuild your own self-image or kind of like learn from anything, you just you know, double down and turn into the most grotesque version of yourself. And so he's a weird guy, man. I think he really just wants to fuck Hassan, which is like, that's fine, man.
Fair.
That's fine. Fair. He's hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but it is really strange. He's been going after me for a bit now.
It's a weird pattern too, because like, we've talked about the phenomenon of like, you know, Michael Rappaport guys, guys who, it's been a rough past decade, 15 years.
Yeah.
You only see them when you look at their IMDb. It's like, you know, movies that don't have a Wikipedia. Like a Kevin Hart web series in 2012 called like I'm My Own Damn Husband, you know. And they play a character called like Pervert Number 3. And so like, you know, there's an economy for guys like that where they can join some insane organization and they can post an interview and be like, Hollywood A-lister reveals anti-Semitism in Hollywood. But Ethan Klein made an incredibly good living. Ethan and he lived both. They were some of the most well-remunerated people ever on YouTube, and still are. They were near the height of their powers. Like, maybe not as huge as they were in like 2016, as far as I understand, but like definitely not like Michael Rappaport territory. But ever since they've done this, I think it's just like too fucking weird for most of the people that watch.
Right.
I think most of the people who watch like just have no idea what any of this is about. I don't even think they like know where Israel is.
Right.
But they look at this guy who they thought of as like the funny Vape Nation guy. And his story looks like those people you have that like in your life that are always having mental breakdowns. Yeah. Where it just looks like ellipses at the top, 50 a day, complaining, like if you only knew who Ethan was, you would just be like, he sure hates this naked guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He really, he keeps
the
calling
Michael
this naked
Rappaport-
guy a Nazi.
Michael Rappaport thing makes total sense. Like, it's shocking if you're watching like someone who's being so callous about the death of like children. And, obviously you're just like, whoa, that's fucking weird. But it makes sense if you consider how many times he posts a picture of a plane ticket to Israel and goes, I'm taking another plane ride. And it's just like, he's in it for the free plane ride. I get that. It's fun to travel and be put up in a hotel. But the Ethan thing is weird. It's so much more self-destructive. And it's like someone who I think, it's like when you value ego over your own well-being, which is, it's crazy. It just kind of,
speaking of ego, I have nothing to say about Ethan Klein because he did a whole 30-minute video on you. I'm sitting right there, right next to you on the video. Doesn't even fucking mention me. I mean, you know what? You come at the king, you best not miss. But if you do miss, at least mention his second in command. At least mention his,
his
viceroy. At least mention
you
his
should have
advisor.
taken a stray. I told him this. I was like, you should go after Daniel. He's someone we could get deported together.
I got
Daniel, I know exactly how you feel because like during this, when I would go on Hassan, I was like, I thought of myself as the guy in the squadron with the M249.
Sure.
Where it's like, I'm going to stand out there. I'm going to take fire. I'm going to draw fire to draw his aggro.
Right.
Because, I have so much experience being yelled at. Some would even say that I like it when it happens now.
Yeah.
And I said all this stuff. And I only got posted once. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
I said all this like terrible stuff about him and continue to do so. But it doesn't work. He's like, fuck you. Who has more videos of Hassan taking a bath?
Well, I think Matt said this. He's fixated on whoever he thinks he can get fired from something.
Right.
Exactly.
He didn't start coming after me until he found out I have a job that he wants. And so like that I think pissed him off more than anything else. And he's like, oh, good, I can get someone fired. And that's kind of been his MO. I mean, it's funny the amount of excuses I think a lot of people might, not just Ethan, but like a lot of Zionists make for what is essentially just a campaign to try to disenfranchise or somehow punish people who are pro-Palestinian voices. Like it's at the end of the day, it's his entire MO. He can make up whatever bullshit reason as to why. I mean, he's like, you platformed the terrorists. I was like, bad empanada? He plays video games and talks about Zionism. But it's just an excuse to deplatform people. The funny thing about Ethan is he keeps claiming he's pro-Palestine.
Yeah, no, he still
so
does
funny.
that.
It's so funny. He's always just like, I'm the most pro-Palestine person in the world. Anyways, next topic is going to be another goddamn pro-Palestine person who I think should be put straight to jail. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this
all he
is
does.
your point about like going after people you can get fired. This is giving me an amazing idea. I should just like go to like a sports authority or something and just like pick up some shifts.
Yes.
And then like make the same posts that I make.
Yes. Yes.
And just like get fired from that one because it will like, it will just take up their attention entirely. Like the act of getting me fired.
I'm doing 60 posts in a row on my Instagram stories, adding Dick's Sporting Goods and sharing these posts with them.
That'll get their attention.
But part and parcel of this conversation, I would like to just get to the last thing I wanted to talk about today because we're talking about Hollywood, Tinseltown, and there were two examples this week of sort of a crossover between the entertainment industry and the issue of Israel-Palestine that I'd like to mention. The first of them being that the recently Oscar-winning director of No Other Land was beaten by a mob of settlers and then arrested and sent to an Israeli prison. He was released. But did you guys manage to see the Academy's statement about this?
Oh my God!
No, I haven't read it yet. Please read it.
And the award for least steadfast expression of so-called solidarity goes to the Academy. Yeah, so mealy-mouthed.
The only thing I remember was there was a quote about like they didn't want to say anything because they want to give. There's something about like, well, we need to have space for unique perspectives.
Yeah, diverse perspectives.
It says, Dear Academy members, at the heart of the Academy's mission is a commitment to honoring excellence in the motion picture arts and sciences and connecting the world through the power of cinema. We do this through our work on the Oscars, our exhibitions and programs, our preservation and education efforts, and so much more. We believe deeply in the ability of film to illuminate, to provoke thought, and to bridge divides by offering a window into diverse human experiences.
Jesus
And it just goes on. It says here, we are living in a time of profound change marked by conflict.
Chat GPT, kill time.
We're living in a time of profound change marked by conflict and uncertainty across the globe, in the U.S. and within our own industry. Understandably, we are often asked to speak on behalf of the Academy in response to social, political, and economic events. In these instances, it's important to note that the Academy represents close to 11,000 global members with many unique viewpoints. We are, however, united in a shared belief in the importance of storytelling, in the value of empathy, and the role of film as a catalyst. Blah, blah, blah. It goes on. It says it doesn't name the guy even once or his movie or what happened to him. Look,
in the middle of the letter is like, I forgot we were talking about. Well, anyways,
movies are good.
Movies are good. Go see a
Hooray
movie,
for
guys.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
They don't. There isn't even anything in there that's like. It's not good to like throw a brick at a director's head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, nothing. They're just being very careful. I think what they wanted to write was like, guys, we already gave him an Oscar. What more can we possibly do for this guy? We already conceded to the Hamas demand for an Oscar.
I mean, I was surprised that they even gave him the Oscar in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told that it was a lot of Academy members just voting their conscience despite the industry that they work for, and because how disgusted they are by it.
I love that.
Well, that's good. But the main one I want to get to is Snow White Gate. I don't know if you've been following this one, but basically, like Disney just did a remake of Snow White starring Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, and it is a megaton bomb.
Yeah.
It is a absolute bomb, and basically. Like the entire industry, through the industry trade press and the producers of this film, they have decided to pin the failure of this movie on Rachel Zegler for speaking out about Palestine and doing a tweet that said, free Palestine. They sent the producer of this movie on a cross-country flight to get her to delete this tweet. And to her credit, she kept it up. And I want to speak personally. The one thing I want to read here is a statement that was on Instagram from the son of the producer of this movie, a guy named Mark Platt. And
who is the brother of Ben Platt, who is also, Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, isn't it
his brother
Platt?
or a son?
Okay, Mark Platt is the father. That's right. Jonah Platt was the one whose statement.
Jonah Platt is the brother of Dear Evan Hansen.
Correct.
Yes.
So I mean, like, and the fact that his brother was in Dear Evan Hansen is very important to like understanding this post here. So he's responding to someone on Instagram who says to him, "Your dad flew to NYC to reprimand a young actress. Any words on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No, shame on your father." Jonah Platt responds, "You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP." I love that phrase, an enormous piece of Disney IP, because it almost sounds exactly like an enormous piece of shit.
Yeah.
By the way, the Snow White remake, by the way.
Disney BM.
I just want to mention about the Snow White remake. This is a movie that somehow cost $270 million was the budget of this movie. And apparently, according to the industry press, it went through 5 different rewrites. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the movie bombed not because of the lead actress's political statements. It's probably your movie's a piece of shit that everyone hates.
It was fraught from the beginning. It's like
because like they were originally going to cast dwarves in the characters of the the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and then they were like, Peter Dinklage said this is very offensive, and then they were like, we hear you, we are learning, we are listening, we're changing this, and then like every other dwarf actor in Hollywood was like, what the fuck, man? That was we're going to eat off this movie for the next 30 years. What the fuck?
Also, I'm sorry, but Peter Dinklage, like I understand where he's coming from. Like, I get it, but also it's like every single little person who was an actor in Hollywood was like, fucking easy for you to say, dog. You're the only little person who is famous. Like, truly fucking stupid. And not only that, but also like Rachel Zegler was being hounded by like white nationalists and MAGA folk for being like a person of color. Like, I don't know what she is, like Colombian or some shit, but everyone was like, so there were Nazis going after it. Then, of course, there was fucking Gal Gadot's in it. And, Israel's
doesn't have
doing
any
it.
political bias she would
with
ever
star
express.
power like that, it's hard to believe the movie bombed.
Yeah, so it's like 1,000 different controversies that happened, and now they're settling on like, damn, it's this goddamn Rachel Zegler tweet.
I'm imagining Peter Dinklage at his mirror every day. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the most employable little person of them all?
Yeah.
So Jonah Platt goes on here. He says, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney shit with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line had to leave his family to fly across the country and reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which he signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. Okay, the line where he says, my father had to leave his family to fly across the country. Your kids are in their 30s. Your brother was playing a high school student in his 30s. You're saying,
Dada?
he had to leave,
Dada, where
leave
you
his
going,
children
Dada?
for 20 hours.
I love like travel across the country because it made like this.
Not
What is this, the Oregon Trail?
Yeah, not unlike the Jews of the Pale of Settlement.
The 70-year-old fucking movie producer. It's the start of Red Dead Redemption 2. He's trudging through knee-high snow. Like half the members in his original party are dead because he couldn't catch enough squirrels.
Yeah.
He has to deliver a rousing speech at the campsite so they can make it to Chelsea to yell at this actress.
He's acting like his dad's fucking Tevye at the end of Fiddler on the Roof, being kicked out of Anatevka, just like slowly making their way over, making their way over to Rachel Zegler's place to yell at her about her posts. It's so crazy.
He says, okay, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. Her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Okay, the second aspect of this that is absolutely ludicrous, starting with the idea that it's some sort of like horrible thing for your adult children to be left in Los Angeles unsupervised for like a day and a half, is the idea that the blue collar workers on Snow White, like the craft services, the IATSE people, you think they're getting a percentage
people,
of the fucking box office? You think they're like, no, like they've already gotten paid for their work on this movie. They're not seeing a single dime from it, whether it makes $1 billion at the box office or it bombs like this piece of shit did.
Yeah.
If they get points on this movie, that he's literally like this guy who like walked across the country like Lewis and Clark to scream at Rachel Zegler about Israel. He's literally the only producer in Hollywood who does this, but he's also making them sign an NDA so they can't tell anyone about it. Yeah. Because I have not, if someone was doing this, some grip would have said something, but apparently they can't do it. But also their compensation is tied to a clause where no one tied to the movie could say anything bad about Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and this is the last thing I want to talk about. This is when he says like freedom of speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in the place of your employment. Blah blah blah. It's just like, yeah, fair enough. But like, come on, like the world outside of your job exists, and like this is a ongoing moment in history that you may feel compelled to share your opinion on. Whether that damaged the box office of the movie, I don't fucking know. But like, how about Gal Gadot's obnoxious politics? Because she's weighed in on this issue a lot publicly.
100%.
Like, she appeared
you don't think that hurt the movie's bottom line?
Never Is Now conference, like 2 weeks ago, right during the immediate run up to the release of this film, and she makes this big 10-minute speech about how you have to stand by your Jews right now because everyone's feeling scared, completely whitewashing Israel's crimes.
Right. Meanwhile, Jonah Platt, this fucking, fail son, is doing the same shit, except for he's pro-Israel. It's just like, the double standard is just like so glaring and obvious that it makes you fucking go insane. Because you're like, this seems so so clearly have a double standard here, but it's just, it's clear that he's just pissed off. He's like, my father spent millions of dollars making sure that all the little people were turned into CGI creatures. You have no respect for the emotional labor it took to gather all those little people together and tell them they were being replaced by Andy Serkis in a ball suit. You don't understand what it's like to produce a movie.
I have no idea what this Jonah looks like, but I can only picture Jonah from Veep when I hear when I hear that.
I'm looking at his IMDb page right now, and this is his bio. Jonah Platt is a multi-platform creator and performer whose unique career spans many facets of the entertainment industry. As an actor, Jonah has appeared in prestigious projects from stage to the screen, such as Broadway's smash hit Wicked, Hair at the Hollywood Bowl, Aaron Sorkin's Being the Ricardos. By the way, his father produced Wicked. Darren Star's newest comedy series, Uncoupled, Universal Pictures' The List, and most recently as the critically lauded star of The Engagement Party at the Geffen Playhouse, directed by Tony winner Darko Trezjak. In 2024, he'll be seen in You're Dating a Narcissist, starring Marissa Tomei, Spread, starring Harvey Keitel, and heard as a voice actor on DreamWorks' Monster Wheelies, Fox's Hoagie Birds, and classic kids series Rugrats.
I want to watch Monster Wheelies.
These are like sub iPad. This is
These are quippy shows.
This is what you like give to a kid on an iPad when they're like born inside of a prison.
Oh my God.
Like if both of your parents are at ADX Florence, they don't let you out until you're 18. You have heard the voice work of Judah Platt or whatever the fuck this guy's name is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When you read his bio, it started with Jonah Platt as a multi-platform. I was like, that sounds like the kind of pun he would make. He would create a podcast called
The Platform.
Welcome to the Platform. I think
it means most of his work is in community theater. He's been on the stage and a few screens. You may have seen him as uncredited extra number 3 in the movie his dad produced.
To be fair, a stage is a platform.
It's such a good like padding term because it's like, is there any actor who's like only ever done TV?
I'm
like
only
most of them
movies.
start in theater. Like I'm actually an actor who did theater. No way. You mean the first thing you do when you learn acting?
Yeah.
My sister showed me someone's author bio that mentioned that they were a member of like a co-owner of their local co-op grocery store. Which is like same category of thing.
It's like
you only put stuff like that in your bio when there's nothing else. Like high school graduate is a better accomplishment to put there.
Yeah, that's someone who's like, damn, I still haven't filled this bio. There's still, there's a 200 character limit, and I'm still not done. Let's see, most attractive in high school, and I have a BA. I have a bachelor's in arts.
Multi-platform is like, you might as well put like, I've been known to have lunch and dinner.
Yeah, so that's the Snow White debacle, and like it's just so galling to me that like someone who's responsible for the Dear Evan Hansen musical starring their own son that was universally panned as an abomination would be like the political opinions of our star actress is what tanked this awful movie. And I also like all of the grown men who are mad about the woke Snow White. And it's just like, buddy, I wasn't planning on seeing this movie to begin with because it's for babies and girls.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm a
who are you
man.
yelling at here?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I've seen so much of that, like guys who are like have that Punisher Abbey.
And they're like, there's not even a prince in the princess movie.
Yeah. What happened to all the Disney magic?
Yeah. The weirdest ones are the ones. The weirdest ones are the people who are just like, they keep comparing Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's hotness, where they're just like, look at this fine IDF queen. She should have been Snow White. It is very strange watching the sexualization of Israelis done by like people who are what are essentially white nationalists and not at all being like, wait, what does this say about Israel? What that, as a white nationalist, I really like them. Well, probably nothing.
Well, they do.
I won't even.
I mean, like, I don't think that like that's such a strange juxtaposition
No,
anymore.
it's not. It's not at all. Yeah.
Herzl said it. The anti-Semites will be our friends.
Mhm.
Yeah. They get to live out. I mean, like Israel gets to do daily what white supremacists like the Turner Diaries fantasizes about.
I saw one of those guys post Rachel Zegler's like forearm hair and was like, "This is fucking disgusting."
Yeah. It's like,
Have you seen
mean
like, have you seen
like
a woman
lone
before?
woman?
Yeah.
Like a guy who's like never not had diabetes posting that.
It's very, very weird because it's just like, you're a pedophile. That's all that means.
Yeah.
You don't like body hair on women at all. That is strange. Yeah. We live in a time now where all the anti-Semites are Zionists, and like there's an account called @JewsFightBack, and they posted a poster. It was a picture of a billboard that said Ashkenazi Jews are Middle Eastern. And I was like,
God, we talked about this last week, but that's always confused me how like it's anti-Semitic to say Jews aren't white.
Right.
It's anti-Semitic to say Jews are like.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Then we're not like, okay, we're not white.
Stop being in Eurovision if you don't want to get associated with this shit.
Yeah, we come approximately from the middle of Eastern Europe. That's about how.
Exactly.
I will tell you exactly what I say when I argue on the phone with United Health. I'm a proud white man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say.
All right, let's leave it there for today. Matt, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. The podcast is Bad Hasbara. Do you guys have anything you'd like to plug at the end of the episode?
Just one thing on my end. I am a stand-up comic, and me and my wife, Francesca Fiorentini, we're going to be at Cobb's Comedy Club on Wednesday, May 7th. So if you're in San Francisco or the surrounding area, go see us at Cobb's. It's going to be fun show. And listen to Bad Hasbara.
World's
Right,
Most
Daniel?
Moral Podcast. We're on Patreon and YouTube and all the platforms.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Chris here from The Edit with a quick announcement. As of this week, I believe that every final copy of Matt Christman's first book, No Pasaran, should be out to everyone who ordered, including the late shipping signed copies. If you believe that you ordered a copy and you have not gotten it, please get in touch because they should all be out at this point. Now that every single copy of the first book is out, I'm excited to announce that I am engaging in the project of creating the second book. I want to turn the Kush Vlogs into a series of essays, possibly with some new contributions from the man himself, Matt Christman. And to do that, I am going to embark on a fairly ambitious project of trying to transcribe and tag by topic and time code all of the vlogs. So to do that, I'm going to be asking for some volunteers from the listening audience. I've set up a fairly detailed process to do this, which I will be posting about either late tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on how long it takes me to get this episode out, on the Patreon, as well as both of the Matt Christman subreddits, that is r/Kushvlog and r/Acid Marxism. So if you're interested in this project, there will be ways for you to submit to volunteer. Instructions should be fairly detailed, and you should be seeing them sometime today or tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that, and if you want to do a transcription and help out with this project, I'd be happy to have you. That's it. Back to the end of the episode.
Excellent, lads. Well, thanks for stopping by. That does it for us today. So till next time, bye-bye.
Bye.